Philippe Karl. You're one of the most well-known classical trainers, especially of the French tradition. You have over 50 years of experience. You've taught internationally, and you have your own school called the School of Lightness, or l'École de Légèreté. I find looking at your work, you're very passionate and you're very precise about what you do. I know that you're known for being vocal about the way some dressage horses are trained nowadays, as well as being vocal about, in contrast, the way that you ride. What's the mission that you're on with your work, and why do you think it's especially important for riding today?
I would like to start answering this question with describing some realities. It's very usual to refer to classical riding, and more or less everybody does, because it always sounds nice. Classical something, then something becomes very serious and nearly indisputable. If we consider that in riding what is classical has to be the best, by the way, it's the same in dance, music, and so on, we have to give a definition, a clear one. It should not be just an adjective we use like that. Is it possible that a way of riding is classical if using principles which are against nature, not corresponding to what a horse is? Because nowadays we have a lot of knowledge and data, scientific one, technical one. I mean, there are data of physiology, of anatomy, of biomechanics, of ethology, neurosciences, locomotion. I mean, it's endless. We have the possibilities to know what is closer to what a horse is biologically. And this way to select what is better, maybe not the ideal, because what is better, what is not, what is really definitely to forget. And there is a serious need to reconsider what is named dressage. And I would prefer to talk about schooling horses. Because as soon as you say dressage, people have the mental vision of a rectangular with letters and a precise discipline. And this discipline is supposed to be the single trunk of all disciplines. So this is very important to be clear on what it is and what it should be. I noticed all along my career, because I was constantly critical to anything I was learning with any people, and from when I started riding being 20. So I was already independent and able to put questions, to get information, try to judge what is good, what is better, what is not. When I realized that there is frequently a very big difference between the talk and the reality in the manege. Nice convictions, nice intentions, okay, good, but the practice afterward not corresponding. So it's not because people are awful, it's because they apply principles which are not fitting to what a horse is. And then the need to have results, frustration, strength, double tight nose bend, and I stop there. Overflexion, becoming normal, roll cure, long deep and round, and horses forced to work in positions which are unnatural. They never do it alone. And it should be the fantastic training position. And 50 or 60 years ago, it was absolutely out of any question to use that. So what happened? Is it better? So when you put the question, people of the profession, for instance, judges or persons who have strong position in a federation or whatever. They say, but it's an evolution. Yeah, evolution doesn't mean better. It means different. Huh? So if it's better, okay, it's a progress. Otherwise, no. And so I noticed all that things. I noticed that the discipline dressage became such a specialty because professionalized, because fantastic horses selected for that, because a lot of competition, because a lot of money, because a lot of advertising, whatever you want, it became a business. Huh? So I'm not against business as a principle, but if it's destroying the best and it's pushing to things to be critical with, then I disagree. And when people are a bit curious and not convinced before any knowledge, it's not difficult to see that there are a lot of fantastic horses who come in trouble seriously, who are spoiled or damaged or unrideable. And so a lot of these constraining instruments used, so this is not normal. And it's considered as normal nowadays. And it sprays over in all the disciplines, including in the Western riding. But this is something. I'm old enough and I was critical and enough and with enough scientific background to find the data, historical one, reading masters, some, often French one, I have to say. And all the scientific elements to say, no, there is another possibility. And there are elements to do another way, to be effective, very effective and soft, refusing to use any constraining instrument. It's a simple snaffle or a simple double bridle afterward. No nose bend to make sure there is no trick. No question to use running reins or any artificial way to force the position of a horse. Nothing, even at the launch. It's much better to educate the horses to do well. And there are possibilities, fantastic one. You find some elements of that in Baucher, in General Lot, in La Guérinière already. And then you don't find everything, but you have a lot of elements there you can confirm with scientific knowledge. And I was trying to do it with the horses to see if it works or not. And then after more than 50 years teaching, you know, you start having some clear ideas about principles which are undisputable, about different methods respecting these principles, but to apply on different horses, because this is another idea. Why should all horses enter in the same system? Who will pretend that the horses are not different from each other? There is not one type of horse to do everything. They are different in their temperament, in their conformation, in their gait, good, in the way they have been ridden before you started, and so on. And when with all this knowledge, theoretical and practical, because to me what is an interesting idea is the one which is clear, explainable, and usable in the manege with many different horses. If it works, I think I adopt. And this is what I did. And I came to the idea that it has to be protected, this, and it has to be taught. And it's necessary to train teachers, because I saw in clinics all around the planet so many horses, so many people in trouble, because it's people also are in trouble. Horses in trouble, and having solutions to make the thing working and to improve. And when, you know, if you can improve any kind of horse, even the one in an incredible trouble,
Also one that's not very well built, for example, an untalented
No,
horse.
any kind. And if you find you have method which enable to bring nearly any horse, normal horse, even having limited gaits, even oversensitive or whatever you want, even with a strange conformation, to be agreeable to ride without any forcing instrument, supple, in balance, and bring them, if the rider is serious enough, to collection, to piaffe, to passage, to flying changes, and also jumping, according to their capacities. And again, without any trick, just with knowledge and method, I think there is something to think about. And this is the reason why I said I have to teach that and put it in front of what, let's say, the official system, which is, by the way, the same in France, because this evolution coming from the dressage competition, I would say historically, to make it short, the dressage has been more and more and more under German influence, let's say in the last 40, 50 years, for excellent reasons. In Germany, people like dressage. They learn dressage a lot. It was not the case in France at all. They select horses for dressage. Remember what's saying Gustav Rau. You have to breed horses who have, from the first day they are born, all the characteristics of an already schooled horse. This is something. Good. But it doesn't help to find a way to school the one less talented. It's risky, this. Progressively, in all sports developed like that. It became professional because the economy was giving the possibility to develop that. More professionals, more money, more talented horses, incredibly talented. And then progressively, the professionals, they influence so much the discipline. You know that when there are 2 or 3 stars of the dressage who don't like the judge in the next competition, they change them. And the judges, most of the time, there are people who nicely spend a lot of time to judge because it's not really a profession. But they don't have the authority to say, sorry, you are very famous, but no. Your horse completely like that, 1 hour and a half in the warming up, out. And so progressively, they have imposed their way to the judges, and finally to the teaching, to the training of the teachers. And that's the reason why nowadays you see overflexed horses everywhere, all around the planet. It's incredible, and with all the problems connected to that. So I would say that with the perspective of the history of riding and of dressage, especially nowadays, what we have is a caricature of the, let's say, classical or typical ancient German way, in which there are ideas I don't agree with, but I totally respect. But because, for instance, if you try to compare, for people who know a little bit, Schultheis. Schultheis, he has been a famous dressage rider and trainer, and with a lot of success, but a classical one, really classical. Schultheis, Otto Lorke, Polai, and others like that. If you compare the photos, the pictures, the way they were training to what you see nowadays, you have the feeling you're on another planet. So it has changed a lot, and I'm sorry, I have to say, not positively.
Yeah.
The horses, yes. The feeding, the breeding, the treating, but the riding methods, no.
If you could change one misconception about dressage as you see it today, what would you change?
In many conferences or confrontations with people of the conventional riding, we had questions like that. There is this opposition between a global system. The conventional dressage says we want a global training of the horse. So from the beginning, the horse is trained forward, and it's a gymnastic which is educating him. Good. And this in opposition to what is a bit quickly named the Baucherist, these awful people who move the neck in Halt. It seems they spend their life in Halt or in walk, which is not true. But there are people doing that because they exaggerate or they didn't understand completely. So this is the idea. I would like to make understanding, and afterward I'll come to the principles or topics. I don't know, you said the things to change. A horse is not a pack of muscles to gymnasticize. It's an animal with a brain, with feeling, with emotions, and it doesn't know anything about riding, and he would know, maybe he would prefer not to practice this sport. It's a joke. They need to learn the language we intend to use to communicate with them. Good. They need to learn it in the most simple, effective, and soft conditions. So you don't teach your horse how to bend the neck when you use one rein in canter. Good. So they learn the language, and progressively this language, simple one, without contradictions, is used to start a program of gymnastic, very simple, adapted, and progressively more refined, more complex, and so on. So it's first the language, and then the gymnastic. And the gymnastic is helpful to develop the language, but without the language, you don't develop the gymnastic. So if you are a dance trainer, classical, and you found a young Chinese girl, incredibly talented, incredible. But the problem is that you don't talk Chinese at all, and she doesn't talk any other language than Chinese. Either you will try to force her to learn your language, German, I would say, or English, by forcing her in doing gymnastic exercises. Necessarily you will shout, you will scream a lot, and there is a high risk that very quickly this young over-talented Chinese is completely disgusted by dancing and hates English language. This is what happens frequently. You have to take time to learn a bit some words, the one you will need of Chinese, and maybe teach her some words, the one you will need in your job of English, and then you can start something simple step by step, and then maybe it will work. But this could work also with an untalented person. That's better than to disgust somebody who is talented. So there are many examples like that I could use. I mean, and the neurosciences and the knowledge we have about the learning processes nowadays, it's no doubt on this. It's not even to discuss. And now I can give you technical arguments directly referring to the riding. For instance, there are 2 or 3 fundamental things for the conventional way. And by the way, for the dressage one in general, the German one in general, but then you apply it differently. So this global training with the idea that when a horse is in forward movement, and especially in trot, because it's one of the gaits that you use a lot, you will improve the balance of the horse by using demi-parade, which is
Or half
supposed to
halt.
engage the hind legs under the body, so to shorten the bearing base. So there are drawings showing it in the books, you know. Drawings, never photos.
And why is that important?
And because it doesn't exist. Huh? And so it's supposed to improve the balance, and by the increasing tension of the upper line, provoke the mise en main. So the conclusion, on no account, ask for a higher position with your hands.
And the mise en main is to have the horse round, essentially, and on the bit.
Yeah, yeah. It's coming to the dressage position in which you're supposed to show. Good. There is only a problem that the horses, and it's seriously studying locomotion and analyzing thousands of photos. If you look at photos from extended trot to passage, the most collected trot, medium trot, working trot, collected trot, and blah, 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 you never see any shortening of the bearing base on stance. Never. It's easy to see. Huh? They are like that. So the strides are more or less long, but so the horse shortens when he's collecting and improving his balance. He's shortening his strides, but he's never shortening his bearing bases. So the famous shortening from behind, engaging the hind legs in forward movement, doesn't exist. It's clear. It's visible. That's good. And so if it doesn't exist, don't expect that you will improve the balance like that. Don't expect that this will provoke the raising of the neck, because no cause, no effect. But there is an effect. When you are constantly using your legs to bring the legs under, not allowing the horse to go more, because it's not the suppose. You have a young horse, 4 or 5 years old, you ride him, you want to improve the balance. You know, it's nice to train the horse globally, but you need global means to do it. So using the legs to provoke the engagement and the hands at once to say, no, don't go more. This is using contradictory aids. What is the horse supposed to understand? If, with a young horse, if he is a very, very energetic one, he will make a decision. He will obey your legs and run through your hands. He will be punished with that. Hey, no question. Good. So next time, if he's hesitating to go forward when you use your legs, don't be surprised. And if the horse is a bit more quiet one, or even a lazy one, he will decide to respect your hands and not your legs. So it's, in terms of communication and teaching, it's not possible to do that, especially knowing that the physical, in terms of locomotion, what you are expecting doesn't exist. So it's one of the things to stop. This idea where we train the horse global, and this obsession of engaging the hind legs in forward movement. Because this way you avoid to be pushing, keeping, pushing, keeping. And I noticed that in the demi-arrêt, the aids are active legs, pushing sit, and active hands. So everything at once. It's too much. And it's so clear that it's too much that people need artificial instrument to find a solution. And if you have a horse with very nice neck, very flexible like that, you are pushing, and it said, you know, demi-arrêt, you have to do it very, very, very often before any exercise. So you are constantly pushing, not accepting more forward movement, with low hands resisting, consequence, pluff. So the overflexion is not a fantastic idea. It's the natural consequence of something unnatural. So first thing to this idea, stop. Good. It's true that if you have in mind as a picture of collection Piaf, yes, they are shortening from behind, but they are on the spot. They don't need to push. Huh? Good. So this is the first idea to stop. And then my conclusions are, in all the education of the horse, either you use the hands and not the legs, or you use the legs and not the hands. Baucher.
Hands without legs, legs without hands.
Yeah, but he's right. But I didn't tell you to start. Baucher was right to say that. I was giving you all the reasons why he's maybe right. This is my way to approach a question. And afterward, I do it, and it works. Huh? Or in the same time, because it's a theory practice, it has to be good. And so, I go on. The mise en main is the job of your hands. It's not the legs putting the horse in hand. It's a strange idea. Huh? So you have to find a way to use your hands, never pulling, not blocking, not fighting, but maybe having movements clear at the beginning and more discreet to teach the horse how to bend, and seriously, how to extend, how to come high, how to open the paw, how to give the mouth, because we communicate with the mouth. So if the mouth is accepting to talk, or is doing like that, it's not the same. So the first part of the horse you have to convince with your hands, it's the mouth. So no tight nose bend. And who had this idea to start the education of the horse to the hand by the mouth?
Baucher?
Again.
François Baucher.
Yeah. But there were also other persons before noticing that when a horse is well doing, is giving the mouth. But he understood that if you start by educating from the mouth and the neck and everything, you can collect nearly any horse. So he did the reciproque.
Reciprocal.
Ouais.
And just for listeners who are listening, François Baucher, if you've never heard of him, he was a very influential French rider
of the 19th century. And he has, with excesses, and I don't want to say Baucher and nothing else, there are things I disagree with, but they are fantastic ideas, and they are to organize in such a way that they have to adapt to different types of horses. They are teachable and effective. Good. And other people were going on in this philosophy, because it's a philosophy, yeah? Hands without legs, legs without hands. If the horse is not able to have the correct position, don't try the exercise, the position before the action, and so on. General Lott has been developing that a lot, without playing with the words. And by the way, I'm profiting of that to say that this is supposed to be the fundamental rules of the French classical riding, and it's not anymore for at least 50 years. And if, unfortunately, I'm sad to say it, but I have to say the truth, and I've been 13 years there, and it was the beginning of the end. It was starting to be more and more strong riding over under dressage influence. But because all these famous institutions, Saumur, Vin, Jerez, and so on, in order to be brilliant and to be known, the guys compete dressage. And they catch anyways, you have to ride the way the judges like. And they all, more or less, came to this way. That's the reason why nowadays you can travel and visit this institution. If you forget the difference between the costume, the type of horse, you see nearly the same everywhere. We are in a worldwide system, as you know. But this time, it's not positive.
So for people who, let's say, are listening, but they're not sure exactly what the French tradition is, or at least
should be,
or how it used to be, how would you describe this, and how would you differentiate this, for example, from the other schools of riding? Let's say, for example, the German school. What makes the French system different?
Some things I said already. It's educate the horse to the aids before doing exercises, because if you don't have the means to communicate and ask for a new exercise, because improving it's to push the limit and start doing a little bit risky things because it's new, the horse is learning. If we don't, the horse has not a sufficient understanding of what you need in using your hands, in using your seat, in using your legs, don't try. You have to start with that. So dressage, I prefer to say schoolwork, starts with teaching the aids. And as soon as possible, in forward movement also. What the horse was understanding in standing still, from the ground, for instance. Bend your neck because it's easier for them when you are standing in front, or extend your neck, or raise your neck, give your paw, and so on, and give your mouth also. The mouth first, then the neck, then the paw. The paw comes at the end. Not first, without any caring about anything else. This has to be in this tradition, if there is a tradition, in this way. Teaching the aids first, teaching the hand especially, with priority to the mobility of the mouth, and then using the neck, because you need to control the balance, you need to be understood, accepted, relaxed. You need a flexible neck in any direction, and long, it's not like that. And then the flexion of the pole, but in a high position. Ramener is the name. You teach the legs in different exercises, forward, obviously, but also sideway movements, and so on. Afterward, it becomes more good. The seat has always to be in the direction the horse goes. Not on the side the horse is supposed to keep bent, because this also doesn't exist. You know it?
Well, this is
The global
traditional
curvation, second obsession of the dressage.
German dressage, yes.
Yes, I understand the idea, and I have been a victim of that ideas during some years, as anybody. But I'm hard-headed, and when I was not satisfied, I was putting questions. I had no answer. I was looking for explanations. If you can have the feeling that your horse is overall bent when he's nicely bending his neck, and the quarters are not escaping neither inside or outside. I say, oh, look, good. But if there is a photo from the top, and I advise to look at a quite old book now, which was done by Harry Bolt, Olympic champion. He had the excellent idea to do a big one. All the movements of all the dressage tests from young horses to Grand Prix Special. All the movements
From above.
with engine, camera, and photos, ping, 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 ping. So you had 5 photos on each circle, and in shoulder in, half pass, good.
It's fantastic. If you find, he has a book, it's called The Dressage Horse, or Das Dressurpferd.
Yeah.
Then you have these fantastic photos from above,
Yes.
which you don't find anywhere else.
Yes. But what is interesting to notice that the theory says the neck bends, the back like that behind, falsch. You don't, all the photos are like that. There is not, you don't see one photo with the same bending of the rest of the spine. The neck you can bend, the rest you cannot. For several excellent reasons. First of all, the capacity to bend is very limited. For instance, on the place of the withers, nothing. The sacrum, nothing. It's fused vertebrae. So the rest in the middle, the back and the lumbar, there are limited possibilities anatomically. It's anatomists who tell you that, not a dressage judge or specialist. And a part of the movement is also little rotation. So this is limited, but nevertheless it's extremely important. And a horse is the core of the locomotion is the periodic undulation of the whole spine. It has been studied with slow motion pictures, whatever you want. And already there are some quite ancient books in which it's explained. A horse is like a snake, to make it simple, with legs. And he moves the legs according to that. When he becomes concave one side, then the legs converge. The other side, they diverge. And it's like that. Good. So there is a complete incompatibility between moving and keeping in one position. When the horse moves, he needs to swing his whole spine. The neck you can keep in one position because this is the education and the neck is free enough to do that. But the rest of the body is swinging, and you cannot pretend with your little legs on an animal 500 kilos or more to block the back in one position. It's a lot of legs, very demanding on something the horse cannot give, and forbidding the horse to go. So it's again, these two concepts are encouraging the rider to ride the horse continuously under pressure between the legs and the hands. In other terms, the accelerator and the brake.
Which is completely different from the French tradition.
Yes. I hesitate to say French tradition because it would be a tradition, it would be the teaching in France at the moment. It should be. But that's the reason why I don't want to say if it's French, it's fantastic and it's true. No, unfortunately, I would agree to say, for instance, if there is one place, one famous riding place on this planet where we should see something different than when we see on the dressage rectangular, it's in Saumur. But unfortunately, it's not the case, and I'm very sad. And this is what I want to defend. And you can imagine that I have a lot of trouble with the French authorities because they were normally on the paper, they are supposed to be in charge of that. You know, culture, tradition, blah, blah. The speech, which is normal and frequent in any presentation of the school or of the good, but unfortunately the reality is not that one. And so I decided to teach what, in my opinion, and some authors you can read, what a better system should be, and should be named the French way, because it should be that. Yeah, there could be difference from one person to the other, but this principle, this concept I was giving you, and some others too, it's not that simple. There should be the pillars of the thing.
I want to take a moment now to think about, for example, let's say we have listeners who ride, let's say, normal dressage. So we'd probably call this German dressage. Let's say they're a rider who, for them, it's very normal to have the horse in a very forward trot, to have the head quite low forward and down, let's say. Let's say sometimes the head is behind the vertical also at times. I want to just break this down a little bit more for those riders. What is it exactly that you see in this type of riding that you find suboptimal for the horse? What is it exactly?
Yeah, first of all, I notice that in the books of the masters, it has always been said that overflexion, no question. It has always been considered as something bad. So I noticed that it was never advised that. And there were probably some talents in the 17th, 18th, 19th century. Good. But when a horse is like that, and it can be worse, his vision is reduced to nearly nothing. Because under this angle, the eye of the horse is made to look far. So he hardly sees where he's putting his feet, and not clear. On the sides, he sees less. And as you know, the horses are prey animals, and they are very easily scared when they don't see around. So it's potentially a situation of stress. This is not normal. The horse is not supposed to walk and trot and canter blind. I noticed that even people training like that systematically, when they come in front of a fence, they let them do that because otherwise they would go through and under the fence. So, good. Other thing, the famous stretching of the back, you don't really get, because the muscles of the back, they run to the base of the neck, here. They don't run there. And so, and that has been explained by some people, you overstretch this and too much, and there are a lot of pathologies to that. A horse is not made to keep like that. When do you see a horse in trot, in canter, free, keep taking this position and keeping it? Never. I think the horses know better than us what they need. Good, so they never do. So the stretching you don't have. It's even proved that there are pathologies in this area because there is a compensation. The horses, it's putting them on the shoulders a lot.
A lot of weight on the shoulders.
Yes, and they have to compensate by contracting behind. So they don't see where they go. They are a lot on the shoulders. They don't really stretch the back. There are probably also some balance trouble because you know that it is depending the intern here, and the intern here is working in the natural, is made to work in the natural position. It's true for birds, it's true for any animal. And it has been experimented with different animals, not yet with horses, but probably there is the same result. You cannot keep the position of the horse a long time too far from the natural position. Otherwise, the intern here starts disworking, and there are trouble in the balance, you know. Anyway, it's a position they never use. So, listen to the horse, watch, listen. And so, when your horse has incredible gaits, and is accepting that without too much fighting. By the way, generally is accepting it because of things like that.
The
artificial offside
reins.
rates.
Yeah.
Good. But even if he's accepting with the hands and acting backward, because to do that, and this is the reason why it's also one of the consequences of another obsession, the low hands. The low hands. Pushing, controlling with low hands. Bluff. So if you do that with an over-talented horse with incredible locomotion, he will keep moving nearly the same, but you cannot conclude that this is good. And it creates the good gaits. It could even destroy them after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Because we know what is the incredible proportion of these fantastic horses who disappear. There is no obvious, clear reason, positive reason to do that. The only explanation I can have that it's a bit a natural consequence of the principles we were talking about, pushing to engage and controlling in front, the curvation, controlling in front. And it's also typical of a concept that the mise en main, the control with the hand, is mainly in flexing the pole, through the pole. You know this expression.
Mm-hmm.
Before the pole, there is the mouth. And what relationship with it? What is the best for the horse when he's learning or when there is a trouble? Acting on the tongue, like that, or just acting on the corner of the lips? But it means in a natural position and with higher hands, just here. And you will act on the tongue and very cautiously the day the horse is educated enough to come in this position. And if there is something clear to do, never with the low hands, because it's on the tongue, it's very painful, and then the horses try to put the tongue back or over the bit. Yeah, and maybe that's the reason why people hide that with a very tight nose bend.
There's one thing you mentioned I thought was very interesting, and I wanted to go into a little bit more detail.
Yeah.
So you were talking about how over time, or hinting at more like over time, that they may not have these gaits for long if they're ridden like this over a long period of time. And I want to bring this to your book.
Sorry, or they have physical trouble. It breaks somewhere in the tendons. Tendons problems in the front is something very frequent.
Exactly. This is what
Suspensory problems. when I bought Ainun, being 5 from Verden, after being stopped 1 year, he had suspensory problems, not yet being 4. Huh?
Wow. So you have your book. It's called Twisted Truths of Modern Dressage. And it's a fantastic book. I would really recommend listeners have a read of this. You get insight into his ideas, but also into his critiques really in detail of modern dressage. There's one thing I want to talk about, and there's a super interesting study in your book where you talk about the average retirement age of riding horses in Germany, and this was in the 70s. And it talks about what the main causes of their retirement were. So, for example, they found that the main cause of retirement, and these horses were retiring usually between 8 and 9 years old, very young. The main cause of retirement was problems with the locomotor system due to premature wearing, so early and irregular usage. So can you talk to us a little bit about this study and what you think its findings suggest, essentially?
You know, I knew because I saw so many horses around me everywhere. I knew that a very significant proportion of fantastic horses disappear. Suddenly, first they are bought at 4 and they will be the next champion. It's fantastic, and they disappear after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, sometimes very quickly. And there has been famous horses like that, Matinee, the famous black stallion.
Tortillas.
Yeah, I mean, when a horse is such a problem, being 11, I mean, that's not normal. Especially when the dressage is supposed to develop the horse as much as possible. They should live longer than the others. You don't put your children to a dance course if it said you have to know that in 2 years maybe they cannot walk anymore or they will live shorter. They should live longer in full integrity. So it's too soon, too strong, with wrong positions, being too much demanding because there is a need of results in competing. And the result is that it breaks somewhere. So it's in the limbs, or it's in the back, or it's the emotionally, or everything at once. And that's the reason why many cannot assume the system. And I wanted to have numbers about this proportion of the horses who disappear. And thanks to a German vet who was coming to clinics, I had some percentages coming from a study a vet was doing for insurances. Naturally, the insurances company, they are interested in knowing what risk they have to cover. And so a vet, a friend of this man, and this vet was a student, he could get this number, but it has never been public, and the numbers are terrible. So in the sport, the horses are average at 8. They are over, and this is not normal. Absolutely not normal. We cannot go on talking about and especially in dressage. I mean, the dressage should give the example of the best. When we were interested in dressage, in teaching horses for dressage or for other disciplines, but especially for dressage, we are supposed to be specialists of the nicest and most effective way to educate any horse. These horses, especially when they are talented, they should live longer than the others with a perfect physical condition and emotional condition. If it's not the case, take away classical and try to change it. So I was several times talking about that with riding authorities in Germany, in other countries too. But in Germany, it was more interesting for me because we are in the center of the thing. And I think there are, certainly there are some people who could be interested in thinking about changing things. But when you have your profession in such a society, horse industry, it's said, I hate this expression. When you are in as a judge, as a trainer, as a rider, and you have to go on that way. Otherwise, you are out. Huh? It's extremely difficult and risky to seriously ask for the useful changes. So that's the reason why sometimes after some scandal, there is a commission studying to make some changes, but I would say, it's a bit details. Huh? And the main problems are still there. Okay. And I'm dreaming about seeing some changes, really.
There's a very interesting DVD that you were a part of. This is called Classical versus Classique. And this is where you debate with Christoph Hess. Mm-hmm. Christoph Hess at the time was the head of the German Equestrian Federation, mm-hmm. as well as being a judge and a proponent of the German system in general. Mm-hmm. You also compare horses trained by the German system and the School of Lightness, or l'École de Légèreté. There's one thing I thought was super fascinating in this DVD, and I highly recommend it to everyone listening. And this was that one of his critiques is that you would do a lot more work standing still or at a walk. Let's say doing flexions, standing still, or doing lateral work in walk. And just as you were saying before.
But it was not the case in showing the horses.
But for example, you took one of the horses and you would do a little bit standing still or a walk.
I start from the beginning. I try to
exactly
when I have to test a horse, and especially a difficult one, very in trouble, I try to recreate another agreement on something extremely simple and more comfortable for the horse, and I pull the thread progressively.
Yeah.
So.
And
I catch the horse by the mouth, like in fishing. It's less bloody, that's all. So, for instance, when people refuse to understand anything, you can go on talking forever, it will not change. But by the way, the result in training an unknown horse with trouble was clear.
It was a very good result, and this is exactly why I would recommend the video.
And I can even tell you there has been a selection of the pictures in order that it's not too terrible. The horse I had to teach with this person, tall horse, doing 3 days event with a professional. He was ridden with a pelham or something like that. He was overflexing, he was excited, he was escaping all the time, and she was very in trouble with, and I could understand. The first thing I had to do is away this bloody bit, a simple one, and stop overflexion. Make the horse understanding, I'm not going to crush your tongue under the bit. I'm going to act only on the corner of the leaves. I can be clear there because it's not painful, and return to being a horse there. And it's better to do it in hand first, because sometimes the horse is so overflexed that even there you have difficulties. So it's step one. So the horse is, and then you make him open. So open nose bend. He opens the mouth, relaxing. By the way, you know that when an osteopath has to treat a horse with serious blockade in the pole or in the neck, they start by doing that, and sometimes pulling the tongue, because the hyoid is connected to the rest. Good. So I started with that. I had no time to make it refined. Anyway, it's not the first day, but it's the minimum you need to do a bit more. trying to bend his neck a little bit. I could not do exactly what I want because he was overexcited. So I had to climb on quickly, and I was just doing the same. Natural position, never acting back, never acting strong on the tongue, just there. And as soon as you are self-carried, boom, light reins. And then bending him, but the same way, not like that. And not pushing with the legs at once because,
I think even Christoph saw a very positive result at the end.
Yeah. He could not do different than to say that the horse was positively changing, but he's refusing the way which was used to do it.
Exactly. That's what I find so fascinating, is that he would say, for us, it doesn't make any sense to work the horse at a walk or standing still, because we need to have the horse in motion, they believe, in order to shape the horse's motion.
I had him in motion immediately and very forward. Why? Because he was in new, more comfortable, understandable conditions, and he was more forward with me than he was before. And I did experiences like that, even with famous people and with horses they were in trouble with. Each time it was working like that. But they prefer, it's the same than what happens in the social medias and everywhere now. People just look at what they could use to confirm that they are right. The rest, they become blind. So they judge the thing like, you are working in standing still. 5 minutes, and afterward the horse was forward more than ever, and much more accepting and relaxed. And so much that when the rider was trying to do the same, though she was not used to this way, she was very surprised to feel her horse like that. She said it at the end.
Yeah.
When you take a little bit time, you need the knowledge of that, to teach the horse not to overflex, for instance. If it's a horse like that, overflexing or leaning on the bit, you teach that first. And like that, you can bend the horse without having this bloody overflexion or leaning on the bit. Good. With that, you can go forward because you have elements to control. If the horse comes too much to the shoulders to run away, I'll tell him, stop. But I'm not going to show him in 3 years completely schooled like that. It's the beginning. The problem in the conventional dressage that they have in the brain the picture of a horse perfectly doing, and they should be in this position from the first day, imposing it by force. It's not an education. It's good. So, and the results are clear. When the horses have not this opposition of the hand all the time, and when they are in a natural or a better position, they move. So it creates motion.
Yeah.
And especially when they have limited gaits, then the difference is incredible.
So you, for example, were using flexions in this video in the very beginning with this horse. For people who've never used flexions or they don't really know what they are, could you explain a bit about why they're important and what riders can understand about them?
Yeah, so I have to say that, for instance, if somebody is interested in the flexions, he start looking at the books in which some people were talking about that. So it's Baucher, the first way, the second way, some of his students, the most famous one, or direct or indirectly, Bedin, Rab, and many others. And possibly General Lott, but General Lott, he gives fantastic definitions. He doesn't talk about any mean.
Any what?
Any mean, the way to do it. And then it's impossible to have clear ideas because they contradict each other. Some are obsessed by a position, others not. And to me, what was important is to pull out of all that information what is sure, because of, again, anatomy, learning processes, and so on. And if I had to resume that, I would say, when you start training this horse, so at the launch, he has to be in his natural position, but there are exercises to do in order that he's doing that. Exercises, not instruments. because when you use instruments, reins to create a position, you mistreat a bit the mouse already. Because when you put side reins, even a bit long at the beginning, shorter afterwards, if the horse wants to do that, puff. And there are accidents already with that. So, good. So the horse is in a natural position. And then when you start teaching them, you will start acting on the mouth, because the reins go from the hand to the mouth, not to the pole, to the mouth. So it's the mouth you have to convince first. And the mouth is naturally very sensitive, and it has to keep like that. And if you are acting this way, down, or this way, with low hands, you are acting on the tongue. So the bit will crush the tongue, which is very painful. When you bite your tongue, you understand what it means. And the horses will fight, refuse. This is the best, in my opinion. Or they will give up, like that. So the first thing the horse will learn is flex your pole, not to have this bloody tension. So it starts with a flexion, which is imposed, and it will go on like that. There is another possibility, and then necessity of very constraining nose bend in order not to have the mouth like that, the tongue above or aside, or good. And then at the end, there is only one thing for the horse protesting, it's grinding the teeth. No, there is a possibility. It's to act on the reins by lifting your hand. Because when you lift your hand slowly, the more you lift the hand, the more you tighten the rein progressively, but the more it comes on the corner of the lips, not on the tongue at all. And take a horse, any kind, and with your fingers, do that here. They all open the mouth, move the tongue. Good. I prefer that my hand is provoking the same reaction than tasting a sugar which is melting on the tongue. So if the horse is doing that, and then down to say thank you, with a very light rein to say, okay, this is okay. So the first thing the horse should give is the mouth, because we talk to the mouth, and the mouth is talking to us. So we have to ask, we have to listen. And this way, there is no pain, no need of a tight nose bend. So they should be forbidden, simply. Good. But for instance, it's forbidden to ride without a nose bend. Strange. So everything is organized for the usual way. Good. So when the horse is giving his mouth like that, and he immediately has light reins. By the way, there is an expression you should learn now, a French one. Descente de main. It means drop the hand. Descente de main, it's a concept. It means stop acting on the reins, let them have tight like that. So it's yielding, if you want. But you know, when yielding is obtained by dropping the hand, I think it's because acting up before. So it's this acting upward, never back. So more or less, if what you want doesn't come with that, then you do more. But the idea is that acting upward, dropping the hand to say thank you. And the horse is first giving his mouth. In halt, but also in walk, and also in trot. Good. And with this, you can ask for changes of position. For instance, if the horse has the natural tendency to lean on the bit like that, you will use demi-arrêt, which is not demi-parade. Demi-arrêt is just the hand saying, hey, there. Safe carriage, light contact, boom, descend the main. If the horse, it happens, huh? There are horses, they come above like that, they refuse the contact completely. Then there is a possibility, you follow the main, you don't block your hands down, and rearing and good. Then your hands follow the mouth up. So you don't say no, you say guy if you want. But you increase the tension of the reins at the same time until the horse is reacting the other way. We all know that they're able to do that. But you organize it in such a way that each time the horse is trying to come above, your hand is above the mouth, acting on the corner of the lips again, and encouraging the horse in taking the reins down and forward. Because when they react to that, it's forward. It's not like this. Huh? So it's just to tell you there are solutions for each case. After this first step, you can bend the neck easily, because when the horse is used to give his mouth, you are acting on one rein up and descend the main, shorten the rein, do it again. But in halt first, but afterward in walk and even in trot, we currently do it 45 degrees bend along the wall on the right and on the left in walk and in trot. There is no problem because there is no aggression, and we come further after something the horse knows. With these lateral flexions, a lot of horses, they already have the tendency to round a little bit. Good. And when it's not the case, and when you afterwards, so second, we care about the neck. If you have the mouth, you can care about the neck. And anyway, each of your requirements contains a jaw yielding. If you act up to bend the horse to the left, he's used to give his mouth, he will give it and bend. And precisely because he's yielding there, he has no need to resist to what you are asking for. The problem is when like that, good. And when this is done enough, in hand, but in walk very quickly, very soon, you can think about flexing the pole. Then you will use what the horse knows to create this. And for instance, if your horse is in a natural position, good. If you ask for the bend, the horse will give his mouth and bend his neck, and good. So far, is used that you follow with the outsider and you keep it slightly tight, but you let him do. He's flexible, he's giving his mouth, he's confident. But this time, if you do it fixing your outside hand a bit low, it's the first time. What will happen? In bending, it will increase a bit the tension of the outer rein, and there is a moment he will find a solution, clock. But there was not once a backward action. There was not once an opposition between the legs and the hands. That's the reason why, even with incredibly contracted and refusing horses, it comes very quickly. Without any constraining instrument, without fighting. And naturally, if you intend to have that, I mean, the beginning of the mise en main, more or less high, but never overflexing in canter, I suggest to do it first in trot. And before that, maybe in walk. It's not a shame to teach something in walk. And by the way, it's a lot of knowledge and talent to be able to train a horse in walk. Because I noticed that very often spectacular horses in dressage competition, when they are in walk, the walk is strange. It's because there are things missing. You know, the tendency to quicken or to become lateral a little bit, it's too frequent. It's the sign that there is something to criticize. And so they will do easily in canter what you were teaching in trot and teaching in walk and teaching in halt. Because for instance, when, I don't know, imagine you are in walk and a horse who has a tendency to lean on the bit a lot, is putting kilos like that. Good. You have two solutions. Either tang and push forward against the resistance until the guy, maybe, it's not sure, but there is another solution. He starts leaning on the bit to say, hey, higher position. I don't want that. I want a nice relationship with the hand. Descend de main. Good. So the horse is taught, is encouraged in keeping in balance himself. Then with this nice relationship with the mouth, you go on forward. And you will try again to flex or to do whatever. So it's also not a shame while being a teacher with horses or with students and with students with horses to cut the problems in small pieces and to solve the point number one in order to solve the number two very quick and the third and the fourth. To me, this idea, it has to be forward and immediately good, it's a bit macho. We can, it's sportive, okay, but before being happy athlete, the horses are supposed to be horses. And I remember the comments of some specialists of ethology who came to know, for instance, this video with Christoph Hess, but other things, articles or strong discussions during confrontations in public, I don't know, in Ansepferd or things like that. And this person, I don't remember her name, a German one, but there have been several like that, saying, and when writing in an article, in training all animals has developed a lot in the last 20 or 30 years, with a lot of principles about the learning process, cutting in small pieces, no contradictions and that. And she was saying, I don't understand why in riding people refuse to understand that. And she was also saying, I don't understand why Mr. Karl is provoking so much opposition because it just says the reality.
Yeah. So if you could leave everyone listening with one recommendation for their work with horses, what would it be?
Only one recommendation, very general. Yeah. More cleverness, less force. More competence, less constraining instruments. So what do you want to develop? You choose.
Philippe Karl, it's been an honor speaking with you. Thank you so much for your work and for sharing your work and your ideas with everyone listening to this episode. I think that the careful reasoning that you bring and the precision, and you have a very deep desire to really understand. And I think this has really opened up a lot of careful thought in riders around the world.
I hope so.
So they don't just take methods that are presented to them and accept them, but they really think about the underlying effects on the horse, how it works, how does it impact the horse. And I think that the horse world has really benefited from that. So thank you so much.
Thank you.